The summer of 2025, the heat wasn't just in the air, it was simmering beneath the surface of society, felt different. A palpable shift, a sense that things couldn't continue as they were. The air in cities like New York, already thick with humidity, Los Angeles and Chicago, felt charged, electric, was thick with protest. The streets became a stage for collective discontent. Chants echoed off skyscrapers, bouncing between glass and steel. Signs bobbed in a sea of cardboard and ink, a visual representation of the people's demands. And the energy was electric, a tangible force that crackled in the air. Frustration mixed with hope, a potent cocktail fueling the movement. People marched for jobs, affordable housing, for basic necessities that felt increasingly out of reach, and a future that didn't feel out of reach, a future where they could thrive, not just survive. But then, something new appeared, a ripple in the familiar fabric of protest. Amid the usual symbols of resistance, the well-worn slogans and familiar imagery, a new face emerged, a face that most had never seen before. Serious, determined, in a red beret and military fatigues, a stark contrast to the usual faces of protest. Ibrahim Traoré, a name that was about to become very familiar. Most Americans couldn't have found Burkina Faso on a map, let alone name its leader. But suddenly, Traoré was everywhere, his image plastered on signs and banners. His speeches, subtitled in English, went viral, spreading like wildfire across social media. Protesters held signs with his words, powerful statements that resonated deeply. Slavery is still a reality on our continent. A stark reminder of ongoing struggles. News anchors stumbled over his name, struggling to pronounce it correctly on air. Pundits scrambled to explain his sudden appeal, dissecting his message and his methods. Was this a foreign influence campaign? A carefully orchestrated attempt to sway public opinion? A meme gone wild? A fleeting internet sensation with no real substance? The truth was simpler, and far more powerful. Young people were searching for inspiration, desperately seeking leaders who spoke to their concerns. They saw in Traoré what they missed at home, a leader who seemed to genuinely care. Authenticity, courage, a willingness to speak truth to power, and a willingness to fight for his people, even against overwhelming odds. His rise wasn't orchestrated in a boardroom, it wasn't the product of focus groups and marketing strategies. It started in the digital trenches, fueled by grassroots activism and online organizing, where passion and authenticity rule, where genuine emotion trumps polished rhetoric. A clip of Traoré at the Russia-Africa summit, a moment of defiance on the world stage, challenging neo-colonial powers, was the spark that ignited a global movement. For young Americans facing debt, job insecurity, and a future that felt increasingly uncertain, and political gridlock, his words resonated with a raw and undeniable power. They saw their own struggles, their own frustrations, reflected in his fight, a world away, yet intimately connected. The captain's battle was for Burkina Faso, for the sovereignty and dignity of his nation, but his spirit was universal, a beacon of hope in a world desperately searching for change. So, who exactly is Captain Ibrahim Traoré? What's his story? Before his name echoed across the globe, he was a young, dedicated officer diligently serving in Burkina Faso's military, a nation blessed with abundant natural resources, yet tragically, a country grappling with widespread poverty and inequality. He didn't inherit a life of luxury or privilege. His background was humble, he earned his stripes in the army, climbing the ranks through demonstrable action and merit, not through family connections or political favors. Traoré bravely fought on the dangerous front lines, battling against relentless insurgencies, witnessing firsthand the devastating consequences of government corruption and failures. Then, in September of 2022, at the remarkably young age of just 34, he spearheaded a coup d'état, seizing power and becoming the youngest head of state in the world. For many citizens of Burkina Faso, Traoré was seen as a direct response, a necessary intervention against a government that had demonstrably failed to protect its own people from harm, and a government that seemed unwilling or unable to stand up against powerful foreign interests. Traoré boldly promised to deliver security and stability, true sovereignty and independence for his nation, and a fundamentally new path forward for Burkina Faso. He decisively expelled French troops from the country, actively sought out new alliances and partnerships on the global stage, and took steps to nationalize key natural resources, aiming to benefit the Burkinabé people. His core message centers around achieving food self-sufficiency for his nation, fostering the growth of local industry and manufacturing, and restoring a sense of national dignity and pride. He articulates his vision with a calm, unwavering conviction, not with the calculated rhetoric of a seasoned politician, but with the focused determination of a man driven by a clear mission. For some American protesters and activists, he has come to embody the global fight against a perceived rigged system, and represents the courage to boldly challenge the established status quo, no matter the cost. Traoré's journey from Ouagadougou to American screens, a path carved not through traditional media channels, was a masterclass in modern virality, a testament to the power of decentralized digital networks. It didn't happen on cable news or through the established gatekeepers of information. Instead, it happened organically on TikTok, X, and Instagram, platforms where algorithms and user engagement reigned supreme. Short, raw clips of his speeches, often filmed on smartphones, began to circulate. These clips, often subtitled by fans eager to share his message across language barriers, spread like wildfire, igniting conversations and capturing the attention of a global audience. One viral moment in particular stood out. Traoré at the Russia-Africa Summit, a stage usually reserved for established world leaders, questioning with unwavering conviction why Africa remains poor despite its vast wealth of natural resources. The internet loved it, resonating with his raw honesty and challenging perspective. Finally, a leader who gets it, who dares to speak truth to power on a global stage. Algorithms amplified the message, pushing it further into the digital ecosystem, pushing it to millions interested in justice and anti-imperialism, creating a global community around his message. What made it stick? Authenticity, a quality often lacking in the polished world of politics. Traoré wasn't trying to be an influencer, crafting a carefully curated online persona. He was just leading, speaking from the heart, and fighting for what he believed in. Fans made edits, fan cams, and translated interviews, creating a vibrant online ecosystem around his persona, building a grassroots library of his ideas, making his message accessible to anyone with an internet connection. His youthful face and red beret, a symbol of revolution and defiance, became visual shorthand for revolution, instantly recognizable and easily replicated. People used his image as profile pictures, signaling their support and solidarity. Artists painted murals, transforming urban landscapes into canvases of political expression. The red beret became a symbol of solidarity, a visual marker of belonging to a global movement. Simple, powerful, and easy to replicate, making it a perfect symbol for the digital age. In the digital age where attention spans are short and information overload is the norm, a strong visual identity is as important as the message itself, cutting through the noise and capturing the imagination. Traoré's look and words, his message and his image were tailor-made for meme culture, easily digestible, and infinitely remixable. The movement felt real, not manufactured or astroturfed. Because it was driven by real people, not institutions, by genuine passion and a shared desire for change. His rise was proof, a powerful demonstration that authenticity wins in the age of social media, that genuine connection and unwavering conviction can still cut through the noise and inspire millions. Why did Traoré's message resonate so deeply with young Americans? They saw their own struggles in his fight, exploitation by powerful systems, generational frustration, and a hunger for change. When he spoke of foreign corporations exploiting Burkina Faso, Americans thought of predatory lenders and polluting companies at home. Traoré's call for generational action echoed their own desire to take control of their future. His focus on sovereignty and self-sufficiency was intoxicating in a world dominated by distant powers. When he nationalized resources or expelled foreign bases, he demonstrated the agency they craved. His anti-imperialist stance challenged Western dominance, embodying a critique many young Americans shared. For them, Traoré was a hero, proof that real change was possible. Traoré's rise as a protest icon stunned the U.S. political establishment. Politicians and pundits scrambled to respond, often dismissing the movement as naive or dangerous. They warned against idolizing a coup leader, missing the point of his appeal. Democratic leaders awkwardly urged protesters to seek inspiration in American traditions, only deepening the disconnect. Security officials whispered about foreign disinformation, unable to believe the movement was organic. This establishment panic only validated the protesters' worldview. The more politicians tried to discredit Traoré, the more his appeal grew. Protesters saw the backlash as proof they'd struck a nerve. The establishment's fear became a badge of honor. By trying to dismiss Traoré, they amplified his status as a genuine anti-establishment figure. Suddenly, a leader from Burkina Faso was shaking the heart of American power. Then, Donald Trump weighed in, adding another twist. While most politicians condemned Traoré, Trump praised his strength on Truth Social. Tough guy, strong, he loves his country, he gets things done, America needs more of that. The left was horrified. Trump's base saw a kindred spirit. Suddenly, some conservatives cautiously praised Traoré's nationalism, while progressives scrambled to clarify their admiration. The debate became a political Rorschach test. Everyone saw what they wanted. Trump's move wasn't about Traoré, it was about hijacking the moment to energize his own base. By praising Traoré, Trump tried to claim the mantle of strong, decisive leadership for himself. The result, chaos, confusion, and a surreal new layer to the story. Traoré became a symbol that transcended ideology. The lines between left and right blurred, and the conversation shifted. In the end, Trump's intervention only made the phenomenon bigger. Traoré was now a political flashpoint for all sides. On the ground, Traoré's image became more than a meme. It was a rallying point. The red beret, his signature, was adopted by protesters nationwide. In city parks, young people wore red berets as a silent nod to the captain and a declaration of their own revolutionary hopes. Like the Black Panthers' berets or France's yellow vests, it unified the movement. Wearing the beret meant standing for self-determination and against exploitation. Activists modeled their organizing on Traoré's style, calm, direct, focused on clear demands. They talked about food sovereignty and co-ops, translating his national vision into local action. The movement gained a new vocabulary and a global perspective. Local struggles for wages or tenants' rights became part of a worldwide fight against inequality. This international lens empowered activists, making their cause feel bigger and more urgent. Traoré's fight gave them a new way to see their own. The captain's spirit made their purpose grander. It would be easy to dismiss the Traoré phenomenon as a fleeting meme, but his popularity tapped into real anxieties and aspirations in American society. The viral images were just the vehicle. The message was the fuel. Young Americans saw a crisis of leadership at home, a system run by out-of-touch elders offering only incremental change. Traoré, a millennial with vision and courage, represented the break they craved. He was the political equivalent of a startup founder disrupting a legacy system. The movement wasn't about wanting a coup, it was about wanting decisive, transformative change. Traoré's rise was a symptom of deep political yearning and global awareness. If American leaders wouldn't inspire them, they'd find inspiration elsewhere. The story of Traoré and the 2025 protests marks a new era for political movements. Technology has erased old boundaries. One speech in Ouagadougou can spark protests in Chicago. Activists now draw inspiration globally, breaking the monopoly of domestic politics. This cross-pollination makes movements more creative and resilient, but also risks oversimplifying complex realities. The viral Traoré was a symbol, stripped of context, but his appeal was real. The lesson for American politicians: your people are watching the world, and if you fail to inspire, they'll look elsewhere. The desire for authentic, transformative leadership is universal. In a global village, inspiration knows no borders.